If you don't like it, don't watch it. This is a reaction said by peeps who choose to watch, read, and hear reactions they don't like. Silas here, this is part of my shorty series where I take a short statement that I have based off of something else and give you my thoughts kind of expanding on that short statement. Getting to it, this is Indiana Froskurrin, I think you'd say it Froskurrin, Indiana Froskurrin Black. She is I think personality would be the appropriate term, spokesperson, presenter on G4 channel. Right now it's a G4 channel. G4 is games. What does even G4 stand for? I didn't even check. Gaming something? Gaming for you? So I checked and I couldn't find the actual thing, what the G stands for, if it's gaming or something. I'm somewhat more familiar when I hear G4, I think G4S, G4 Security Corps, which is a security company, an international security company. I'm recording this from Nairobi, Kenya, and that is something that I think most Kenyans, if it's like G4, they're like, oh, G4S, that's what you mean. So some people might not know what G4 is, but G4, gaming something. I think it's gaming something. Let me know in the comment section if you actually know. But I'm focusing on the rant that Froskurrin had here and what she said there about if you don't like it, don't watch it, which is something that is not limited to this. I've seen this being said in different places. Now, for an actual history of this actual situation, I think you should check out It's a Gundam's video. In his autistic detail, as he says, he puts in a rather good review, some history of G4, and what's behind this current rant. I would say the primary thing is that she's claiming she's getting certain negative reactions due to the fact that she is female and other people don't get that. It's targeted towards her. But there is something in, I think, a lot of communities where people will point out something about you and make fun of them. She'll say, oh, we read all the same scripts here. We have a big team. Half of the people who are writing these things are female. I read the same script as my male counterparts and I get targeted insults. Yes, they get insults too, but I get targeted insults because I'm female, and both those things can exist. Yeah, sure, I get it. Somebody might get it because they're short. Somebody might get it because they're fat. Somebody might get it because they're bald. Somebody might get it because of this and this. But if they're reading the same script, she says she gets targeted things specifically because she's female. Now, the recent incident she mentioned is she was talking about some PlayStation exclusives that were not PlayStation exclusives, and some people might have gotten her towards that, but then no one actually corrected her that was on the panel, and maybe because they're also just reading a script. Maybe the other people in the panel also didn't know that those weren't PlayStation. No, but actually some of the people said, I don't know. So regardless, not too important. This is about that statement, if you don't like it, don't watch it. This is something that I think the general sentiment behind this is not negative. I concur. As Big Brother, I do like to watch things a lot. I don't even ever close my eyes. I'm constantly watching things. And if you don't like it, don't show it. But I do like watching the things that I don't like because I then do get to actually hold you accountable to do things for the greater good. So you see, there is that, and that's what this might seem to be an example of. Are they searching out, was Froskurrin and other people who've mentioned these kind of things, searching out that sort of content and focusing on those negative comments in order to, I guess in this situation, it's been a sort of marketing success. I'm talking about it. Many other people with a lot bigger platforms and a lot more reach have actually spoken about it that probably would not have spoken about G4TV. This might pique some nostalgia in some people and might get some people back. I've seen some numbers where a few thousand people have dropped on their channel, but then if that's not the primary person, we'll get to that. If that's not the primary purpose of this channel was actually getting viewers, gamers, then this could be entirely of a win for Froskurrin and G4TV, because if I am making content on this channel, wherever you listen to this and you don't like it, you don't have to listen to this, you don't have to watch what I'm making. But if I want certain people to watch something, I should be somewhat interested in if they actually like it, right? So some of the people are saying that she is making a generalization over the majority of, or the entire gaming community, most of the gaming community, based off of maybe less than 1% of the actual people who are out there trolling and saying things to trigger, or just some people are just also just jackasses. There's some jackasses out there that are going to comment on things, but when you put stuff out in public, that's going to happen. It's like me saying, oh, I have 100 comments from good people, from just people in general on whatever content that I'm making. One of those comments is a horrible person, then I release a video saying, why are you people listening to my channel horrible people? I don't say that because not only is that 1% of the people, it's a small percentage of all the comments, but it's also somebody who doesn't really know me personally. Now, when it comes to this other aspect, If I have 100 comments and one of those comments is somebody who says, "Oh, it's so great to see somebody with African descent, good to see a Negro like you talking about issues from a Negro point of view, and it's something that the world needs done with Negroes and it's coming," I'd be like, "No, you don't really know me. If you're just using something on happenstance, just like Froskurrin just happens to be female, I just happen to be a Negro, and you're basing your judgment off of my content, saying it's focused on this." I put the same level of lack of actual importance in that comment, not only percentage wise, but also what is it based on. And now it also goes further to this cancel culture, things saying, "Oh, we need to stop this," or "We need more representation in this place." If you don't like what a show is doing, if you don't like what a certain product is presenting, you don't have to watch that product. So you don't need to cancel it. Let other people who like watching it watch it. If you think you need more representation or more XYZ in a certain thing, you don't have to get that thing to be changed. Go find the things that have those representations and things like that, or be the person to create the thing that has those things, and then other people like you who want to actually watch this thing will watch what you like. Ostensibly, because I've seen things like in the comic book industry. There's this one person that kind of infamously came out and said, "If you don't like what I'm making, don't read it." And then I think a year ago or so, she's come out and she's like, "Yeah, well, the comic book industry is kind of not doing that well." Well, I guess a lot of people listen to you, and I think a lot of people are going to do the same thing with G4. At the very least, we have the memes coming out of this, and this current timeline, the memes are better than ever have been. I don't know, what were people doing back in the olden days of G4 before memes and things like that? There's an excellent video meme of Froskurrin talking about this and showing some history of G4, and then eventually they splice in this kind of Simpson type of clip where the kids go back outside, and just check that clip out. You should find it somewhere. How many of you actually knew G4 was back? You probably remember someone like Olivia Munn, who was a personality on it. Relatively, objectively attractive woman. She was on there in part due to how she looked. Froskurrin is talking about, "I don't have to be attractive." Yes, you don't have to be attractive for people, but some people will find the way Froskurrin looks attractive in her own alt-chick sort of way. But Olivia Munn, just objectively attractive woman. That was part of what she was selling. You see those clips from It's a Gundam and other people, and there's things where Froskurrin seems to be showing using her physicality on that. That has been part of the show. The showrunner from the past is still one of the showrunners now, even though some things have come out with him talking about, like, he's like, ostensibly, he says things like his Republican family should die if they don't follow the actual approved illiterati criteria for you to actually do according to deal with this current pestilence of unnamed origin sort of thing Rona Chan out there. There's been a lot more stereotypical, atypical of people in these kind of spaces, leftist leaning, regressive type of comments that this person has said that I don't think will receive any actual social backlash in the sense where they're going to try to challenge this person's job or anything. I think people might just stop watching. And part of the reason is, why would somebody say this if you don't like? Yes, I think if people don't like the stuff, they don't watching. If somebody isn't, because she had to have taken the point to say, if you don't like the stuff that I'm making enough to comment on it, you should just not watch the stuff that I'm making. But she clearly somehow didn't like the stuff people were commenting on the stuff that she was doing, enough to the point where she decided, I'm not just going to not listen to the negative people talking about these things, I'm still going to comment on it. So do as I say, not as I do. That's a part here that's a bit hypocritical, that I don't agree. But why do certain channels like this exist? Why do certain people do these things? And I think there is something to that where there's a lot more access to gaming content today than there's ever been. And there's people like, I think like Angry Joe. I listened to somebody who's a Splattercat Gaming on YouTube, and he just goes through like indie things. It's just like the game itself on the screen, and he does like 30 minutes to 25 minutes, 35 minutes to 30-minute playthroughs on a daily basis of just different things. And then once you have that first thing, there's all these other places. You go to Twitch, you can follow people making millions of dollars on Twitch just playing video games. Video games literally just on the screen, and they actually just speak, and people watch these things. People like G4TV, who's just somebody who used to play StarCraft, he still plays StarCraft, and then he started being somebody who does commentary on it, and then he goes further on, and then now he's actually one of the commenters that the StarCraft Blizzard themselves actually decided to put him into the game. So you have people like this who are just doing mostly primarily gaming content. Some of the people you don't even know their faces. But then now there's other people who are personalities who come on, and there's some people say there's like gamer chicks, gamer thoughts, Twitch thoughts. That's a term that they use for some people. And there's some people who use more of their sexuality in order to sell people on certain products. And there's a space for that. Some people like that. Some people would like that more than watching somebody who's really accomplished at the game. So I understand there's a wide range of this. So there's people who are just overly sexualized. There's people who are just 100% just the game. Now, where does G4TV fall in this? I'm not quite sure where they're going to fall into this, but this is going to continue. So is G4TV a platform, a channel, a show? Is its primary purpose somewhere where they can give X commentary about Y thing that Z people are interested in? If that was the case, then they would care what Z does like, and they would be more informed on Y, and then the actual X that they create, that they speak of about that Y, would be something that falls into what those Z people actually like. And this would eventually reduce those complaints. But as I mentioned, they could actually be hyper-focused on certain complaints regardless of the fact that there might be a higher number of praise just for that same thing. Someone would be like, oh, she's a woman, so she shouldn't be speaking about this. This is why, oh, it's a gamer chick. But then someone might say, oh, it's really cool to see a gamer chick speaking about this. Oh, like, it's good to see from a woman's point of view on this other topic. But if that happens, would she say they would cancel out? I don't know if she or anybody else on that panel would consider those two comments to cancel out. Now, I haven't watched G4 enough to know much about her presenting style and the other people on the channel. It's current timeline, so people have social media presences. I think if you want to speak about sociopolitics and other issues that are outside of the primary thing that you're supposed to be speaking about on your profession, on your job, like this thing in gaming, then just like the showrunner, one of the showrunners here talking about how he dislikes Republicans and all these things outside, he's not on the actual show coming out and saying that. That's something that I think is acceptable, like, yeah, whatever, it's not really that surprising. Now, having said that, I think there's personal things, and y'all might have your own list of certain things where you say, okay, if I know this about the person, even if it has nothing to do with the actual product they're creating, if I have a comparable product that I can actually get to this, a comparable service, I'll actually go to that. There's some things where, like the government and the Chinese Communist Party, I'm questioning what that Chinese Communist Party is doing. I'm not quite sure if I have a product where it's like, okay, I'm buying X product from this place for $10, and I know this place happens to hurt the people who are actually making the product, or they happen to dislike people who happen to be like me, and then I can buy a similar product for $15 from this place that doesn't really say any of those things. They might do those things, but I just don't know about those things. I would probably spend that $5 extra to get that other product. In some cases, I have the privilege to bring my personal preferences into my actual financial choices. And some people can't afford to do this. With few of the things on my list, if somebody's anti-peaceful parenting, is advocating for hitting kids and that kind of things, supposed discipline, I don't want to listen to your content. If someone is overtly a communist, I think that really has a negative effect on the greater society, so I'll try to avoid your content. But that if I know. But when you go on the actual show and you're berating people that watch the show for not liking the things that she says on the show about things that the show is supposed to be about, and you say it's because specifically she is this thing that you... I don't get why people do this. So bad things are supposed to tick up more than good, so we pay attention to the bad things so we can do something and rectify those bad things. That's something that's just natural. It's natural for us to do it. It's something that evolution kind of... It's an intelligent way to approach the world and things like this. But some people seem to take these too seriously. Now with shows like this, I wonder, why do these things still continue? Why do some places still... G4 is probably still going to continue for some time. And I think a company like this will keep going because... since its content and staff may fit the environmental, social, and governance criteria. And you'll notice some certain companies making certain decisions that some people are like, why? This doesn't really seem to be about the product that they're on. This really doesn't seem to be about the service that they're doing. Is Froskurrin pointing out that half the writers are females because he's admitting that, oh, we don't even write our stuff, so when you make fun of me, you might be making fun of stuff that a man wrote, or maybe like you're cheering the men who are on this platform for saying things that the females wrote, or is there something else in there? Because otherwise it would be kind of odd to kind of admit that. I know people know this scripted content, so they're not like, but why would you say, oh, this is not even my words, these are not even my thoughts, I'm just saying things, I'm just kind of a spokeshole. I don't think somebody wants to just come out and admit that. And I think even the specific thing, if it is this PlayStation comment that she was making, that seemed to be more off the cuff kind of general conversation between the people that are panelists, that are presenters. if the actual content coming out is just great content, I don't care if it's all paraplegic Asian people with redhead, and it doesn't matter to me if I'm there for gaming content and all the gaming. I don't care if it's one person, one random person in his basement speaking about games, but the gaming content is what I actually want to listen to. I will listen to that because that's what I'm liking from the actual content. So I don't understand that, but part of the reason why these companies are doing this, part of the reason some of these things, ESG goals is one of the key parts of it. So these companies are existing, like you look at the G4TV, it's owned by other people. There's these kind of companies and things like that. So they say, okay, this branch in our company has actually matched the ESG goals, so you can invest into us, and then we'll keep creating this product that is rather stable, things like this. So we have this kind of market share, and there's a lot of other things involved in this. There's a lot of mutation in just the markets due to fiat currency, and I'm more of an Austrian economist, so I have some objection to some of these things where these companies are involved in these things in regulated kind of industries where they can have a market share to protect against competition. So they just have so many people who are not really involved with the day-to-days understanding the market. And this is a thing that happens with businesses. They come and they go, and G4TV was important one time, and then now it's just kind of a passing thing where, as I'm asking, how many of you actually knew G4TV existed before Froskurrin went on her rant, before listening to this video right now? I'd be like, oh, it's back now, you go check it out again. But yeah, how many of you knew someone like Olivia Munn was on G4TV before? I think a lot of people might know Olivia Munn from like X-Men, and she's been in other things as well, dating Aaron Rodgers, and people might not know she was ever on this show. But the gaming industry itself is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's a lot of places where it's making tons of money. So someone involved in this space, there's still a lot of money going around to be made from someone like G4TV. They're also involved in electronic gaming. I think they're involved in esports, which is a massive industry now, and things like that. Now, with the esports type of thing, someone can say, okay, in order to have a sports team, an esports team, we're going to have the best players. And the best players happen to be mostly male. Competitive games like StarCraft, these ones are online real-time strategy games. It's kind of like the Kenyan domination of marathon running in like East Africa, mostly Kenyan, Ethiopian, things like that. It's kind of in the same way where that domination is coming from South Korea. There's something about the physiology of younger men, whether it's hand-to-eye coordination, just the way the muscles move and things like this, that just makes them dominate, makes them better at certain games. This is something. We are a sexually dimorphic species. There's going to be these differences. Time is the thing that actually works. You're not going to be the same as you were in the past. You might be better at things when you get older. You might be worse at things when you're younger. I don't imagine them ever starting some sort of outreach program to say, we need to empower the people who've been left behind by gaming and things. It's an entire market that we haven't tapped to. And so we're going to do these activities, or we're going to like talk about this, raise awareness, and do some outreach to this group. And then all of a sudden, in like maybe a year or so, you're going to have a competitive Call of Duty team made up all entirely of former farmers or former miners from the Midwest, 45-year-old white men, and they say like, yes, these people finally learned how to COD, and now they're here making hundreds of thousands of dollars for playing video games. That's not going to happen. It's just not what certain people do. So the company might say, since we're focusing on gaming, our main gaming teams seems to self-select in a way that we cannot adjust. We cannot just hire people for the sake of it, because they'll lose. So in order to meet the environmental, social, and governance criteria that allows our company to have a good rating for investing from outside people, we need to have a lot of people of certain backgrounds that don't fit these things that are selected in order to be really good at playing this game, to have those kind of people in our company. So say, okay, these people are just speaking about the game. People are just writing about games. Things like that. People are just filming the things about games, writing skits and making props and things like this, researching the games and playing the games and the history and things. So we'll have that be the place where we hire people based off of things of happenstance. They happen to be born this way. They happen to have intercourse with these kind of people. They happen to identify it this kind of way. And that's what we're going to hire them based off of. If they can just speak, if they're just basically competent, we're going to have them on for that. And I think that's why you see some of these things happening where some things are not necessarily fitting. And that's it for now. This is the Shorty series where I have a short thought, then I'll build off of that short thought. I'll be trying to keep some of these under 5 minutes, maybe. I'll be aiming for 3 minutes and 33 seconds, 4 minutes and 44 seconds, 5 minutes and 55 seconds, or 11 minutes and 11 seconds. I'll try to get back to that when I'm focusing on this Shorty series, but this one has been a bit longer, so I might just include it in the rants. But with that saying, it brought some other things, some other thoughts that I was thinking about. I'll try to focus on one thing, because I was trying to focus on that if you don't like it, don't watch it. If you don't like content that's longer than 10 minutes, most of the people don't watch it. And people go and decide, we're going to make it shorter than that. We're going to make sure it fits into this. We're going to make sure we have shorts in order to get certain people to my content, to my channel, then they can get to my longer form things. Then you have longer form things like the Joe Rogan show, which a lot of popular type of stuff. I have a lot of conversations on my channel and things like this where I just have these long conversations where sometimes I get to 3 hours and I'm talking to my friend who are having the conversation, Steven, and we're like, oh, maybe we should have these shorter, or we should put out clips so some people can come and once they actually like our content, maybe they listen to the longer form. So there is that aspect. And what do y'all think is behind people like this, like Froskurrin in particular, saying, if you don't like it, don't watch it? Was she also paying attention and watching people commenting in ways that she didn't like, but she felt the need to comment on it? So what do you think is actually behind something like that? Who else kind of says, wait, what is that noise? Where's that coming from? Have you considered power? As a transdimensional, omnipresent being, I can relate to this watching thing as I get to watch every single second of you lowly human beings' lives. A lot of the things that you do I do not like unless these things are being done by certain select groups that I do like, and sometimes I actually instruct you to do these things that in some other cases I do not like. But when I do not like you doing these things, I get to actually bring down my wrath on you and smite you down, which is relatively a powerful sort of thing to do that does bring some joy in some good places. It is for the greater good though, so don't you worry. If you don't like that I do it, then don't even think it, because I am also watching your thoughts. So there is that aspect of it as well. There is this thing of just kind of watching and feeling that energy. Because you might say that, oh, it's so horrible, this is toxic masculinity, it's so hard for the woman in the different places and things like this. Okay, you might say that, but look at when she was actually doing what she was doing. First of all, she has the position. She might not know the history of the other things that have happened on that channel. She might not know what, but regardless, she is actually there. And look at the people on the panel while she was saying this. Look at the reactions from other people. Yes, you can focus on the people who are excoriating her and saying like, yeah, okay, we won't watch it. You told us not to watch it, we won't watch it. But she's still getting paid. There's still people who are supporting her. A lot of people in her community, in her space, I think are very supportive of the work she was doing before, and also of her coming out and having this rant or having this reaction out there. So there's things like that. So I can understand why there's both kind of aspects on this. And I'm going to break this off here, and I have another video that I'm going to upload soon about the environmental, social, and governance criteria. That is something that is going to be guiding a lot of choices in a lot of companies. I think it will make you to be more informed and understand why things are happening in certain ways when you understand what these things are. Another thing based on this topic, I don't think anybody is owed respect. I think respect is something that you earn, starting with yourself. I don't think you can even be truly respected if you don't have self-respect. So once you respect yourself and you're doing certain content, certain things, presenting yourself in a certain way, you have certain people around you. Your main people around you are supporting you, big upping you, but the main person around you is yourself. So if somebody detracts on you and you know you've done your best and you know you've done a good product, I think you are less likely to even care what that person's estimation about you is. And lastly, there's something that I was making an observation about, how when it comes to something like gaming, I think like social justice warrioring is more like female gaming, because with women, they're more social creatures. They've been more used to being in social environments. That's how we've developed human behaviorally, where they kind of control the society's levels of what is accepted, what are men trying to achieve in society in order to impress women, and then they have the reproduction. There's certain biological reasons behind this sort of thing. And I think they're more interested in focusing on being involved in social justice warrior spaces, gaining points and achievements in that sphere, that men are more towards gaming, which more matches the previous kind of environment, more artificial, kind of safer environment to have the battles and striving of gaining resources and achieving that kind of combative type of environment than it is in the past. And also with the past, to be more social in this way, women were doing that more on the outside with actual humans, IRL, as people say, in real life. And the same thing with the gaming, it's matching what the hunting and the actions and the wars and things like that men used to have. That's just an observation I've had with this. That's why I think there's more people who are interested in speaking out on these certain issues that are more female. You hear a lot of feminists and things like that speaking about these, or certain women will enter certain spaces and start injecting socio-political issues into this. And one more thing, a lot of people have actually been educated in and would like to be speaking more about direct sociopolitics, but there's a lot fewer jobs in these situations. So they'll enter other fields. And, oh, I'm going to write about cooking. Oh, I'm going to write about gaming. Oh, I'm going to write about travel. And since they have that sociopolitical background, that poli-sci background, that international affairs background, that kind of sociology type of liberal arts background, they might decide to, okay, since I have this platform, let me also speak about these issues that I think are probably more important, or they argue are more important than the actual primary content that they're there to actually speak about. Goodbye.